Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and today I'm going to give you guys 10 mistakes investors actually make, and these are mistakes I made myself before I got to 100K in my portfolio. But the answer is some of them I actually made, but some of them I learned from other people's mistakes, and that way I actually avoided making them myself. So the goal for this video is to make sure you guys learn from this video and not go out there and make those mistakes that might actually cost you a ton of money. Now, if you guys are new here, I post videos every single day, so make sure to also subscribe and hit the bell to get notified. On the top of that, also destroying the like button. Now let's get right into the video. Now the first investment mistake you actually want to avoid is basically worrying way too much about the investment app you actually choose. For example, if you want to choose like Robinhood, Fidelity, Schwab's, M1 Finance, Acorns, Webull, Stash App, which app do I use? There's so many of them, right? But the truth is that the only thing that's different from them is the entire marketing campaign. They do a great job of marketing, saying like, hey, we're better than they are, we're blue, we're green. But the truth is that because of technology, they're all virtually the exact same. They don't have any fees, no trading fees, and in reality, they're basically the exact same thing, just with a different packaging, okay? So in reality, don't worry too much about the investment app you actually use, just start investing. For example, okay, what I recommend is this. If you want to be a passive investor and just invest money and let it grow over time, you would use Acorns. Acorns is a great platform. They do all the work for you and rebalance everything. That's the app I actually use, and the app I started investing with $7 back in 2018, and today that has around like 31K right there, okay? And on top of that, if you want to pick stocks and buy instantly and borrow margins, like do options and puts, the answer is Robinhood is probably the best app for that. On top of that, if you just want more freedom, more customization, I recommend M1 Finance. And what I did was basically I transferred over my portfolio from Acorns over to M1 Finance, and that way I have a little bit more freedom when it comes to the future. But that's about it, okay? When it comes to Fidelity, Schwab's, and even Vanguard, they're all great brokerages, but at the end, it's not that important, okay? Just pick one platform and start investing. The reason I have so many is because basically my job is to try them out and tell you guys about them. But my recommendation is just do Acorns and M1 Finance for passive investors, and for active investors, just do Robinhood. That's about it. They have great platforms. All of them are virtually the same. If you want to be crazy, just test them out and see exactly which one you like best. But in reality, they're all virtually the same. Just avoid getting any management fees, for example, with Wealthfront, and avoid any crazy fees also, okay? Just keep that in mind. When I was in college, I paid $10 to actually trade with E-Trade. That's no longer the case today. Thank God. So the answer is everything is fine. Now, the second mistake you want to avoid is basically investing all your money all at once. Say, for example, you managed to save $10,000 after a full year of saving, and you say, well, I want to go ahead and invest all that money and just leave it there and make $1 million in the future. But in reality, here is the problem with that. If you buy during a peak and then the market crashes, you might go a long time without seeing your money actually recover. For example, back in the 1930s, the market went around 25 years without seeing any recovery whatsoever. So the answer is, instead of grabbing all your money and investing it all at once, how about you just do dollar cost average or drip investing? That way, for example, okay, the way I invest is I invest the same amount of money every single week, and throughout the year, I buy during the highs, also the lows, but that way I get overall the average. So if I have 10K right now and I want to invest it, or even like $1,000, I would divide it by 52 weeks, invest that every single week, and that way over the year I get the full average, and not just like, hey, I bought very high but now I'm losing money. The answer is just buy the average, okay? And by the way, guys, currently I only use index funds because they're actually safer, more diversified, and don't carry that much risk, okay? So just keep that in mind. And also, instead of waiting until you have a lot of money, just take money out your paycheck every single time you get paid and invest it right then and there every week or bi-weekly, and that way you do dollar cost average automatically. I do the same thing with M1 Finance and also with Acorns, so keep that in mind. Now, the third mistake you want to avoid is basically paying someone 1 to 2% of your portfolio just to manage it, because basically you think they're smarter than you and basically gonna beat the market, and they're also maybe an expert, right? I'm an expert, will help you, my firm has this much money, but in reality, they're just making money off of you, okay? Say, for example, you're giving someone 2% of your investment value every single year, and you make around 7% every year on average, because basically you invest into index funds the way I do also. Well, in reality, guess what? 2% goes to taxes, 2% is inflation. On top of that, you give them 2%. So in reality, all you have left is 1%. 1%. That's it. So basically, the math shows that if you give someone 1 to 2% of your portfolio size every year consistently for around like 20, 30 years, in the end, they would have taken around 33% of your entire portfolio size, okay? So the answer is do not do this, okay? Do not do this. Just go over to Acorns or M1 Finance and do it yourself, and all the rebalancing is done for you automatically. It is not rocket science, okay? Do not pay someone a lot of money to do something you can actually do yourself. So don't think you're not smart enough. If you're not smart enough, just go to Acorns and invest right there. The portfolio is done for you. And the portfolio I invest into personally is called moderately aggressive. That way, I'm well diversified and I don't worry about carrying so much risk. But I don't pay anyone 1 to 2% of my money, because basically, when you have $1 million, 1 or 2% is between $10,000 to $20,000 every single year to do something you can basically do yourself for free. So do not do it, okay? Trust me on that. And now, number 4, guys, is basically not knowing how much money you need to invest to actually get to your goal. Now, the general rule I give is always, well, invest 20% of your income, and that way, every single 5 years, you actually get a full salary actually invested. Over 30 years, you've done it around 6 times already. So that's awesome if you ask me. But say, for example, your goal is like, hey, I want to get to 400K or $1 million. The way to figure out exactly how much you need to invest every single month is by basically going on Google and typing in savings goal calculator and clicking the one that says investor.gov, and that way it'll tell you exactly how much money you need to invest every single month. For example, to get to $1 million, you need to invest around $661 over 30 years at an 8% return. And my portfolio gives me around 8% on average over a long period of time. So that's why I do the math the way I do it. Now, say for example, that's not 20% and it's actually less of your income. The answer is, well, invest a lot more money and that way you get to your goal a lot more faster. But one thing is this, guys, okay? Once you get to your goal of maybe, for example, $1 million, use something called the 4% withdrawal rule. So for example, if you withdraw 4% of your value every single year, but it grows at 8%, it means that your portfolio keeps growing while you take money out. So the idea is you won't run out of money for a very, very long time. And that's why when it comes to, when I get to my goal, I'm only gonna take around 4% or maybe even 3.5%. And that way my money keeps growing while I take money out. Now, guess what? $1 million, 4% of that is around $40,000 every single year. Enough money to have like a good lifestyle and not worry about ever running out of money and doing the exact job you want to do, okay? It gives you a ton of freedom. The 4% withdrawal rule is super important. Now, number 5 is waiting for the market to drop or maybe to recover so then you can actually go ahead and start investing. Now, the truth is that if you're a passive investor and invest every single week the same amount of money, you get the average over a long period of time. So this doesn't really matter whatsoever to you. But I do have one tip, guys, okay? Say, for example, it took the market 7 years to actually drop, and that's when you actually went ahead and invested. But guess what? I was investing throughout the good times and the bad times during that entire 7-year period. In reality, I'm going to outperform you over the long term. Do not wait until the market goes down or goes up. The answer is you cannot predict the market. Warren Buffett himself cannot predict the market. So don't wait until it falls. Just do dollar cost average and invest the same amount of money every single week or every single month. And that way you get the average and you're not worried about like, hey, it went up or it went down. But it only works if you buy during the good times and also the bad times. So do not wait until it drops. But there is one tip though, okay? When the market drops, just go ahead and invest a lot more money. That's what I do. When the market drops, I invest double, maybe 5 times the money that I would usually invest to buy at a massive discount. That's the only thing I do. But I don't wait to time the market. That's stupid. And in reality, it's kind of like waiting until you die to kind of like collect insurance. That doesn't make any sense, right? It makes absolutely no sense because you'll be dead, obviously. So don't wait until the market drops, okay? You don't know when it's going to drop. Just keep investing now and do dollar cost average. That's what I recommend. Now, number 6 is borrowing money to go ahead and invest into the stock market. Now, the most successful investor ever, Warren Buffett, says, hey, when you borrow money, it puts you at risk, creates a lot more leverage, a lot more tension, and in reality, a lot of people smarter than me have gone broke because of it. That's what Warren Buffett himself says, and that's why he does not invest when it comes to margins and borrowing money to go ahead and invest. He does not do that. So the answer is, okay, say for example, you borrowed 10K and you invested it. The truth is, you get in charge interest every single year, every single month on that money you actually borrowed. But say your investments actually drop, well, in reality, you still owe that original 10K. And on top of that, if your investment drop over a certain amount of money with a margin, you will have to sell to then go ahead and pay back the loan. So in reality, it is not a smart idea to go out there and start borrowing money to go ahead and invest. It just adds another layer of stress to you. So that's why I also don't invest on a margin. I take my time. Over time, the money will continue to grow. But borrowing money just makes things like almost double as risky. So just keep that in mind. Now, number 7 is selling way too early because you're basically scared when the market actually drops. Okay, now, one thing is this, guys. I've noticed that every single year on Black Friday, people go crazy over discounts. But whenever the market crashes, people go crazy and they start selling everything and they don't want to buy things at a discount. I just don't get it. Well, I kind of get it, okay? Say, for example, you invest how I invest, index funds. So, you know, basically, there's data out there to support that basically over time, the market will recover and everything's going to be fine. But say, for example, you've been buying odd companies that you don't know anything about and you're scared that, hey, what happens if it crashes and they don't ever recover? Well, that is called a lack of confidence in what you invested into. So that's why when I invest, I know exactly what I'm investing into and I know, hey, it's going to recover over the long period of time. So that's why I do index funds. But if you do a stock and it drops 50%, well, it can stay down there or go to zero very quickly. You never know. So keep that in mind. Be confident in what you actually invest into and have the facts to actually back you up on your actual ideas, okay? Just keep that in mind. But when the market drops, I don't sell. I buy more. I get excited because basically everything is at a discount. So to me, that sounds awesome. Sounds like Black Friday, but for stocks investments that are going to make you rich and not make you poor over that month, okay? Honestly, don't buy a flat screen TV anymore, please. I'm tired of seeing flat screen TVs. Now, number 8 is not being honest with the type of investor you actually want to be. Now, I had the same problem. At one point, I wanted to be just like Warren Buffett, and then I found out that Warren Buffett reads for around 8 hours a day financial statements and might buy one stock once a year. So obviously, it takes a lot of work. Then I found out about John C. Bogle, a guy that invested in index funds, and the way he invested and how he also became a millionaire also. So there are different ways to get the exact same results without worrying about like, hey, doing all of this work. But obviously, the more work you do is going to give you a lot more money in the end. For example, like Warren Buffett. But if you want to be passive, learn about John C. Bogle and a little book about common sense investing. But for example, if you want to be more of an active investor and pick stocks, well, read this book right here called The Intelligent Investor, okay? And only do it with around 10% of your money. That way, you don't risk that much money when actually testing out your strategies, okay? So just keep that in mind. And by the way, don't just go out there and buy random companies because you like them. In reality, investing is a job and you need to know exactly what you're investing into. If you don't want to know and you just want to get the average over time of the market, just invest into index funds, and that's exactly what I do. But don't speculate. You lose a lot of money, and also you're not gonna have consistency when it comes to your investments over a long period of time. So just keep that in mind. Now, number 9 is basically forgetting about your personal finances. If you're not okay and you're struggling and then you lose your job, you're not going to be able to actually reach your goal, okay? So you have to keep in mind, well, how am I doing personally when it comes to my finances? So I focus on 6 things. Number 1, okay, have an emergency fund of at least 6 months. That way, if you lose your job, you're good for 6 months. Number 2, invest at least 20% of your money. That way, you keep investing consistently without actually missing all that money. Number 3, get rid of all your bad debt. That way, you're done with it very quickly, very fast, and you free up a lot of income to go ahead and invest more money. Number 4, lower your expenses. Above 50 to 70% is way too much. Number 5, go ahead and budget to have fun. Investing is great, making money is great, but you have to have fun. It's a balance. Number 6, practice giving money to charity. Sign up for something that costs like $10 a month or $20 a month and start giving money to charity. That way, that's going to feel awesome. Trust me, okay? Charity is very important. Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, all these great successful men practice charity. You should also. $10 a month is not like that much money, but it will make a massive difference. Now, number 10 and the final one is basically taking on way too much risk. You know, one great quote I'll end this video with is basically, it's not about time in the market, it's about time in the market, okay? So don't worry about like, hey, I want to make money quickly. The answer is invest in. It's a passive, long-term passive income stream, okay? It's not going to be like overnight, but if it is overnight, it's going to carry a lot more risk. And I'd rather not carry that much risk to then get to my goal faster and safer. It doesn't make sense to risk, for example, all your money to then get maybe like 20% on it, okay? It doesn't make any sense. So just please, please, please do not rush things. But guys, that's about it. Hopefully this 10 help you, and hopefully you avoid all these mistakes right here. But comment down below and let me know if it was helpful, and if it was, well, like this video. On top of it, if you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. And also, if you want to talk to me one-on-one or text me, subscribe to my Patreon, link down below, or for example, just DM me on Instagram, TommyBryson. On top of that, if you want to watch a video on investing basics, watch the video right here and click on. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.